This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Whitmer here, and welcome into the draft room right here on MVP. I am joined with my backcourt partner. See, we're Dave Oster. We're not front court boys, even though back in middle school they wanted to make me. Well, really, elementary
had
school.
This conversation last time.
They wanted to make me. It's gonna happen every week, Dave, because I'm not a front court guy. I got mad at Jake, by the way, Dave, because I'm like, okay, I got a question. I told him my height, told him my weight, and I said, you got an elementary student, 4th, 5th grade. Where would you put him? He goes, I'd probably put him on the block. And I'm like, you're the problem. You're the problem. I'm a point guard, man. I had dribbling skills. I could bounce past like no other. Dave, how you doing?
No comment. No comment on our skills. And
shooting was a little off.
Primary school. No one could shoot. It was 5th grade, 6th grade. No one could shoot. Didn't matter.
I scored on my own basket, though.
Yeah, historically, you did that, and I had the first and one. In
did you?
On my team? Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Which I will say, this is an old fast break story, but I'll say it again. I'll ask you: free throw line, you pass it back to the guy at the top of the key, and he starts running the other way. Basket shouldn't count because backcourt violation should happen first, right, Dave? Them the rules, right? Backcourt violation should happen first.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't. The points counted, and I may have got benched for saying that is BS, but not saying BS. Actually, saying the words as a 5th grader.
These are the people you're coming to for your basketball insights.
Hey, man, it was fun times. It was elementary school, but Dave, you ready? You ready to talk some basketball? We're on the cusp of conference championships of March. Yeah. I can smell March, Dave. I can smell the tournament. Literally,
if it weren't for this year, it would be March today.
Yeah, it would. We're recording this on a leap year.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Your birthday is no longer in November. It's now the 29th of February. On non-leap year years, are you choosing March 1st or February 28th? Or are you one of those jerks that go, I'm technically 4 years old?
I wouldn't be that guy. I might trade off. It's whichever one is actually on a weekend. If it were be like, one side or the other, then I'm gonna.
So like this year, you're choosing
weekend.
March because it's a Friday.
Absolutely. Can I take my birthday off, man? Take my birthday off. That's just what you do as an adult.
Yeah, you wrap around now. It's my birthday. Here, we're gonna take a vacation day that day and that day.
Absolutely.
But welcome into the draft room where we talk all about draft, NFL, NBA. Dave and I.
We got 7 minutes of stories. Yeah. Come on, we got more.
We got more in the tank. But it's Dave and I, so you see the NBA background. You see it in front of us. We're talking about the NBA. Got a great show, talking Kentucky, talking Reed Sheppard. Going to be sprinkling in a little surprise at the end. I'll let you guys wait for the surprise topic at the end of the show. But before we get into everything, a little bit of housekeeping. One, if you're not in the Discord, what are you doing? Greatest community in the universe. Join it down below. If you want to support us, Patreon page is also down below as well. Let us know what you guys think throughout the show with that comment section. And then also hit that like and subscribe button if you like and love the podcast today. Also, Apple Podcasts and Spotify is where you can check out the draft room each and every week. But Dave, let's get into it. And we're going to be talking about Kentucky, but I kind of want to start off, we want to start off with one Wildcat in particular. Their last game, dude had a game, Dave. Had 32 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, went 11 of 14 from the field, adding on 2 blocks and 2 steals each, staying out of foul trouble with only 1 foul, hitting the game winner at the end of the game when the Bulldogs thought they had tied the game and sent it into overtime. Oh, by the way, on the road as well. Doing it on the road, not with your fans there, with the other student section going, ringing them cowbells because they were at Mississippi State. Dave, Reed Sheppard, is he a top 3 pick? I'm just going to flat out ask it. Is he a top 3 pick? Would you take him over either Topic, Rochester Sauce, or Sar?
Pain. That right there was pain.
ZR.
bastardized names like that is
Worcestershire sauce.
And I know we're only at the beginning, so it's going to take a while for that to just settle in my soul and be okay again. Look, Reed Sheppard is a statistical anomaly, and it's just the weirdest situation of like, there's things that you don't like about his game, and the problem is that he does everything except for like one-on-one defense and creating a little bit extra separation really well. Incredibly high IQ player, very good shooter. Like we're talking insane levels of college shooter. I think on the season he's just 51% from three on the season. It's not like he's not taking shots. He's got over 116 attempts, I think, as of today. I got the stats over somewhere. Jesus, so many tabs. On the season, he's taken 116 threes, 51%.
Averaging 4 of them a game.
Yep. So, look, great steal rate, great block rate. Everything off ball is fantastic. On ball, he is less than ideal. He's a little bit shorter in stature. He's like 6'2". They mark him at like 6'3", maybe in shoes. And that's kind of the drawback. It's you got somebody who he's athletic enough. He is fast enough, ? But his off-ball defense, his basketball IQ, his shooting, his playmaking, everything else is there across the board. And if this kid were like 6'6", he'd be your number one pick. He would be your number one pick, unconditionally your number one pick in this draft class, especially this draft class. So that's kind of what leads to the question of like, do you buy the production? And do you buy the fact that it can translate at the next level? Do you think he can still get away with the same stuff he's doing right now in college and not get abused? And I do have to say, part of it's because he gets the knock for being a 6'2" kid who doesn't have elite athleticism. And people are just looking at him and going, yeah, he's going to get picked on defense. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm 100% all in on that, because he is a smart enough player, and I think if you pair him with a smart enough coach, you can work with that. I don't think he'll ever be like, all NBA defense, but I do think that he is a really good team defender. He knows when to cut passing lanes. He knows how to read the ball handler and find a way in between him and where he wants to take the ball. So like, there's so much right about his game that it's hard to say like, I don't want that on my team. Like, he just seems like the ultimate glue guy plus crazy upside from one of the best shooters in the country. Actually, I'm not just the best shooter in the country. Yeah. Just full stop that one there. But he's 6'2", maybe 6'3" on a good day. We just got done talking about how Ricky, every team in the NBA, their best players who win championships, who go deep in championship-esque runs, all wings and bigs. The era of the small guard, it's not over, but it takes Steph Curry to overcome,
But that's the thing. I'm looking at Reed Sheppard through a different lens, where, and yet again, I've had this discussion with numerous people. We've said it before. Go check out our video about I'll put it in the description, where Dave and I talked about, does this draft class suck? And we overlooked it, the draft class as a whole. Sure. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, well, this draft class you're not going to get that superstar, that star. You're going to get like really good role players or like role player plus type guys. And I look at Reed Sheppard, and I'm not saying like, he's just a role player. Let's go ahead and peg him there. But today I did a Google search, Dave, and I'm like, let's look at comps. What do people think are comps for Reed Sheppard? And
I got you comps.
I'm
curious to hear yours.
I saw some interesting ones. One of them that was just flat out, it was just Malcolm Brogdon. And I'm like, if we're looking at Malcolm Brogdon now, more so on the role player side of things, like is not going to be your starter unless you're on the Trailblazers, like he is.
He was starter level quality.
He could, but it's kind of that tweener between it.
I'm with you.
I'm surprised. I've seen a lot of people mention a player from the 90s, Dave. I believe this was a player from the 90s. I'm going to have you take a guess at what player from the 90s they might have compared him to.
Hornacek.
Not Hornacek. I got to double check if he's a 90s guy. Yeah, no, he was a nice Mark Price.
Oh, Mark Price.
Mark Price. So Cavalier, Bullet Warrior, Magic from like he played 86 to 98.
I don't remember some of them. I remember purely like 4 games tops where that's about it. So I couldn't tell you a bunch about Mark Price. That is right when I started watching basketball as a kid. Sorry about it.
But there was one comp I liked, and it wasn't about the player. It was about the explanation, because there was one point in the explanation that I really liked about it. And it was, I was looking at Reddit, and the post was about Reed Sheppard NBA comps. Because the original post said, what do you think about a Chauncey Billups comp? A floor general who is lethal from 3 and good D despite not being uber athletic. And the first comment was larger late career Mike Conley. And basically the reason he said that was 40% plus 3-point shooter, interior but not a high volume player, and great defensively in terms of, like you said, positioning and reading passing lanes, and can make players play by over closing out. The point I like that he mentioned, though, and this is where I think Reed Sheppard fits in the NBA. He's not a guy where it's not like the Pistons drafting Cade Cunningham. Go ahead, be our savior. It's, we've kind of got a team here. This guy can help us here. Whereas Mike Conley right now on the T-Wolves, he benefits from having Gobert, from having Mitchell, from having Cat. More so Mitchell and Ant. Not Mitchell and Ant. Cat and Ant on the outsides having the offense. Gobert is just defense. But playing off of Ant and Cat, having those guys to lean on so that he's not the guy. Just, hey, Reed, go ahead and I'll do it yourself. It's all on you.
Yeah, no, he is. He is a floor raiser, ceiling raiser. That is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of get that. I did like the idea of the Conley comp, late career Conley. A couple of ones that I'd heard. His shooting falls in line with, another great shooter, Grayson Allen, playing that role. Thankfully for him, next to superstars.
It's not enough of a scumbag.
Sure, yet that we know of.
Yet hasn't tripped any guys.
Grayson Allen's freshman year didn't trip anybody. Remember?
Did he trip?
Grayson Allen? Well,
Grayson
Allen ended his college career as a scumbag, but his freshman year he could have came out in that draft.
Let's be honest, his freshman year he didn't really come out until the tournament. That's where he really got the most of the playing time, and then
he would have been drafted still, just from that tournament. But point being, someone who can be put onto a team with stars like you're mentioning. Yeah, you mentioned Cat and Ant. I'm the one that I'd heard they were talking about how, plug and play guy who's going to be a dead eye shooter, but who also can move the ball, who can, play some solid defense, do all the little things that you need out of a team. It's like, okay, I can kind of vibe with that. The fun, I don't know if you've messed around like Bartovic. It's great database for, anything numbers wise. So I'm just going to shout that out for them. But, you start dropping in, so some different parameters around people who take that many 3-pointers a game, who are that effective offensively and defensively, a couple, block steal rate kind of stuff. And you're left with a list that it gives you back. The closest comp to him was Mario Chalmers at that last year in Kansas, where he was so good. And I'm like, I started looking because I'm like,
a lot of people on Reddit were saying Mario Chalmers, and then there are comments of I really like the Mario Chalmers comparison.
Because it's true. I watched 3 games. Well, I mean, I remember as a kid we watched Kansas because that fucking run was, come on.
D-Rose should have won that game. It was BS.
And there you can have it.
He should have won that title game. I should have had that champion correct in the pool, but that's aside.
3 years of Kansas for Mario Chalmers. His final year, his best year, obviously. But again, he was somebody who he had the same mid-range touch. He had the same ability to go within the flow of the offense, but he was never the guy. He was always just part of the system and able to get other guys looks and get the other guys shots, but he would always still be able to make his own. Yeah, and I think that the deterrent, like with him, was always Chalmers sometimes disappeared for games at a time, whereas we haven't really seen that from Reed Sheppard. More so, it's the way he contributes different games is differently. Maybe this is just us watching from high school versus us watching, now, and we're seeing different things. But at the same time, it's like Reed Sheppard's also playing as like the third guard in Kentucky. So he's not always getting the opportunities that he could maybe deserve. And if we got to see more of that spotlight on him, you might see someone more like Fred VanVleet, where Fred was a player in college who pretty good college player, but then he came into the pros and he, once got rolling up there in Toronto, hustled, built up his body quite a lot, became more physical because again, he's even smaller in stature than Mike Conley, who I think is about an inch shorter than what Reed Sheppard is projected at right now. So like if someone like a Fred VanVleet is where you're getting outcome wise, like Super Mario Chalmers with like better basketball IQ, maybe better shot from the outside, sounds pretty good to me. But a better Fred VanVleet, potentially not as strong early in his career, but he can build up because again, Fred wasn't a freshman, so he still got 3 years to build on muscle and work on the frame. So like,
yeah.
But would you draft that at number 1? Would you draft that in your top 3? Would you draft someone who comps out?
Depends on the team.
Again, I'm not trying to say he will never be better than, Super Mario Chalmers or a slightly taller Fred VanVleet with, maybe a different touch to his game. But if those are general thoughts that we're trying to like staple onto the idea of a player and like maybe role wise where he could fit in, or even like a better Grayson Allen, how high do you draft a guy like that where you have these, a 6'10" wing and Zachary Sachet, who is a phenomenal shooter on the outside, who can defend 1 through 5, who is just silky smooth out there and also still has like the ability to continue growing his game. Or you could go with Nikola Topic, who is one of the best ball handlers, downhill drivers in European basketball, who has just a bag of tricks when it comes to passing the ball around and being a floor general. Like bigger guys, very, very valuable skills in the NBA. But Reed Sheppard's kind of the guy who's got all the production right now. So that is why it's like, it really questions your draft preferences and like draft roles. I know not everybody has like rules around how they draft players, but like there's definitely like different archetypes you're looking for in players where you see like, hey, if I'm taking a top 3 pick, I want that to be a franchise changing player. But if it's a class like this, where you're afraid you're going to miss more than hit, even at the very tippy top, would you rather take the guy who has great production and who your front office is probably not going to fire you for taking the guy who is one of the most productive, players in college basketball, one of the best college basketball players maybe of the year?
There's 2 teams that I feel like could take, if they won the lottery, and I'm not saying won it being won, I'm saying won it by they're on the outside now and end up being a top 3 team. Because I'll be completely honest, all of the 3 teams in the top 3 as of right now, February 29th, 2024, Washington, I wouldn't take them. Detroit, I wouldn't take them. Spurs, I'd be like this, but I probably wouldn't take them. Just because of team makeup, I feel like those teams, let's be honest, the Spurs are like this because it's like they have Vassell, they have Sohan, they have this, they have that, they have Victor. Like they've got guys. So
they need a point guard who can maximize everyone's talent.
That's why I'm like, I don't know how. And that's why I'm like, I'm on the fence with them.
Taller Jones, which is essentially what they're looking for.
Yeah. But the 2 teams I kind of love his fit with, and I don't know if I'm wrong.
It's funny because Washington also has his brother.
Well, yeah. But like the thing with Washington is I think they're just a complete and utter show to where it's like, I don't want him anywhere near that team. I think that I almost got the curse of anyone who goes there is just cursed because they got to play with Jordan Poole.
Popping off. Corey Kispert's popping off.
But you got to play with Jordan Poole.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Bilal Coulibaly, I mean, I think everybody sees the just insane potential from that kid. So like he's their star to build around.
The 2 teams I think I like his fit with the most. One of which is the Charlotte Hornets.
Now that team is a dumpster.
They're a dumpster, but like Brandon Miller shows potential. Even if Bridges leaves, which I think most of us are expecting him not to be a Hornet after this year.
Probably not. Probably gonna get a big deal from the Pistons. Like what the rumors are.
like you could still, in my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, you could either like you have LaMelo, you can
who's always injured.
You can fit Reed into a rotation if Melo is healthy, and you have him, Miller, and Melo basically being a 1-2-3 rotation. I don't know how much you like Reed Sheppard at the 2 compared to just being at the 1.
He plays both.
The other one I look at is the Memphis Grizzlies. If they luck into a Reed Sheppard, that's a team that's got dudes and would be a playoff team if it was not for injuries this year. If it wasn't for them putting out one of the worst rosters that we've ever seen, and, you know, the 76ers of old are rivals in that sense. Like, if they get a I'm going to even say, if they get a top 4 pick, like they're at 6 right now. If they get a top 4 pick, hell, even a top 3 pick, I'm almost looking at it going, yeah, one of the other 3 you could go with as well. But like Reed Sheppard, he might be a better pick for us here because of the team they already have built in Memphis when healthy.
I mean, okay, so let's start with digging in on the Hornets, because I think that was your first one.
They were.
So the Hornets last year added Nick Smith Jr. Do we give about Nick Smith Jr. anymore?
To me, the only people that I really care about on that team is I would say LaMelo. I'm trying to write down the swear in at the same time. So like Brandon Miller, LaMelo, and then going ahead, Dave, you're gonna make me not think right now. Like looking at
Mark Williams. Yeah, Mark Williams is phenomenal and shut up.
Well, yeah, but he's not a 1.
No, but I'm saying
2.
like that. Those are your core. Like your untouchables are those 3 guys. So beyond that, the question is, you just used a top pick last year in Nick Smith Jr. Well, not top, but like you used a first round pick on Nick Smith Jr. So do we care about him? And then we got another guy in Amari Bailey, who I love, who still developing, still far out, but like he's background noise basically. I think they still have McGowan's, who kind of no man's land right now as far as small wing / guard. They picked up Trey Mann, who's been hot and cold for them, but insanely entertaining. New look Hornets have been, I want to swear again, have been hilarious. I don't know if you've been watching the Hornets. It's some of the worst and best basketball, like back to back to back.
So that's
my question.
Here's my on the Nick Smith Jr. part, because I have a return question for you that affects it.
Sure.
So right now in college, and I know college different than the pros, Reed Sheppard is averaging about 4.5 boards and almost 4.5 assists, and is averaging almost 3 steals a game. Do you expect those numbers to be the same, less? What are we looking at in the NBA? Because that determines it. Because if he can be better in those, then because like Nick Smith Jr. right now, looking at the stats, he's shooting 46% from 3. So like him and Reed Sheppard at that point, like Nick Smith actually playing in the NBA might be used to the line more than Reed Sheppard would. Reed Sheppard won't have a problem with an NBA 3, but just getting used to it at the beginning of the year. If Reed Sheppard can rebound, assist, and steal more, I would take him over Nick Smith right now, because I'm only getting 1 rebound, 1 assist, and like not even a steal a game from Nick Smith. So it's like, am I gonna take a guy who can shoot the same but add more to the team?
Are you assuming a 1-to-1 on minutes and shot quality and all that?
That
stuff?
Too. That's the question. I think that Reed Sheppard would get more than 15 a game, 15 minutes. That is.
You got a first round pick from the year prior that you're just not going to play?
That's the thing. The question is, can Reed Sheppard do more than Nick Smith Jr.? That's the answer. If it's yes, I take Reed Sheppard. If it's no, then I don't.
But if your option is Reed Sheppard or Zachary Sachet, or Reed Sheppard or Alex Sarr, or Reed Sheppard or Nikola Topic, or Reed Sheppard or Cody Williams, or Reed Sheppard or Ron Holland, like that's the point I'm trying to bring up is like, when you have all these other names, even if you go Modest Buzelis, Tyler Smith, like there's so many other guys who just have size on him. And that's the point I want to make is like these front offices who have previous investments that, you buy a lottery ticket, you got your Nick Smith lottery ticket, and you're like, man, this kid could have been special in college. We never got to see it all put together. Now we got him on the Hornets. Let's see what he can do. First year has been just absolutely wild roller coaster of like some of the worst play we've ever seen. LaMelo's been out of the lineup for the majority of it. Like, we need to just find, some continuity, and maybe we'll see next year. Do you think that you write that off and go like, Reed Sheppard's our guy? Or you go, hey, we got openings on the wings for days. Or we need, a backup ball handler who can be our primary point because LaMelo can't be trusted to stay healthy for 82 games a year. So maybe we go get Nikola Topic. Like, I'm just saying, as a front office, like, that's the question you got to ask yourself. It's not, is Reed Sheppard, the number 3 pick? Is Reed Sheppard better for the Hornets than the rest of these guys? Because fit matters more so than ever, especially with this draft class, because the line seems narrower between the talent. And that's why it's always like, I don't know if Reed Sheppard will have the volume, opportunity, and whatever on the Hornets to pop off the way that he would. And we were just talking about this, playing next to stars, playing next to Ant and Cat, playing next to Beal, Booker, and KD.
Well, that's why I like the Grizzlies more. Like the Grizzlies right now are at 6 though. Like they're going to need to get into the top 3, I think, or lose games.
Anyone's getting healthy anytime soon.
Good point, but like when they're coming out there and beating the Bucks unexpectedly, when they're like plus 6,000 underdogs, like nobody.
I don't have an answer for why Vince Williams Jr. other than the fact that I called that. Gigi Jackson did not call that. Guys who are just out hustling basically and effort when other teams see it as an off night, and they're just going at it every single night because they know they're going to get paid out for this. Like they've just got such a ragtag mentality right now. They're not going to win out a bunch of games. 6-1 though, or 6 to top 3 is not a big jump. You could do that. That's, every year that kind of happens. Because
I look at the Grizzlies and it's just like
they need to win, don't they? Because you go you got Bane, you Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr. Obviously they'll need like an actual 5 probably realistically.
Let's see what their contracts are. That's a bigger question because I'm just looking at depth chart and roster right now. Who is actually up for the Grizz? So the Grizzlies this year, Luke Kennard's got a club option. So do they take it or leave it?
Sure.
You've got Utah. Utah's got a player op.
Yeah.
Lamar Stevens is a UFA and Jordan Goodwin's an RFA. So they literally have everyone coming back.
Exactly. So they still need to address the wing is what I'm hearing. And they need a center. So are you going to go ahead and draft a backup Reed Sheppard, who is not going to play over John Morant or Desmond Bane, but would be very nice. He'd be a huge addition to the team. Smart basketball player. He's exactly the Memphis Grizzlies front office kind of guy. The way they've been drafting the last couple of years is they dug heavily into the analytics side of things. They dug heavily into the production of college basketball. Some hits, some misses, but you know what? That's kind of what they were aiming at. I don't think that team would pass up on like Cody Williams, though. I think they are desperate for a wing. They missed on Zaire, and they need to go again. Or they need to go for a big. The problem is just like, I don't know if you want Sarr there or not. I don't think him and Jaren Jackson Jr. is a great fit because they lack rebounding, but it's what it is.
I think it also plays into, and I know that I rag on the NBA for this all the time because I just love how the NFL is more. I hate that free agency comes after the draft for NBA because I feel like with the Grizzlies, it comes into you're almost gambling of like, well, if we go with this, we can get this in free agency, but then are we for sure that one of those stars is going to want to come play in Memphis? Yeah. When it's like you're not at like LA, New York, Chicago, like one of those hubs, or even just I don't want to say bad team because the Grizzlies, when healthy, are a playoff team and are very good.
Like Andre Drummond, I don't even know how much money they have this offseason.
Yeah.
But they could go pay someone like Drummond, who is probably going to get, maybe what, $10 million?
Do they look to make a trade this offseason? Maybe trade some of the guy.
They're an absolute weapon when they're all healthy. And now that you get the production of Vince Williams and G.G. Jackson, like, you got to feel like they're going to try to pile on and keep this thing cooking when Ja's back.
Because your top 5 centers in free agency this year, I'm doing UFAs only. Clubs and players are off the table. You got Big Jonas Valanciunas. You got Nick Claxton, Isaiah Hartenstein, Daniel Tice, and Mason Plumlee. Drummond would be 6th.
Yeah, Drummond's better than the last two, but yeah. Yeah, I could see them go after like someone like Hartenstein would be great. Someone like Drummond would be great. They need boards.
Yeah.
Brutally honest, that would be great for them. I just don't know how much money they've got. But point being,
yeah.
Do you have the luxury of drafting Reed Sheppard and going, we're going to run a lineup with John Morant, Reed Sheppard, and Desmond Bane as our 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and beat us. Like, that's Billy Donovan's wet dream right there, speaking as a Bulls fan. So I can't even like argue, the 3-guard lineups out there, but that is asking a tall task out of Jaren Jackson Jr. and whoever your 4-5 combo with him would be. So I think that, again, maybe this is just me hating on short guys out there in the NBA, but like,
you're ragging a lot about height. Ragging a lot about the height. I mean, the other thing I think in my head, maybe this is because I'm a Bulls fan, Dave, like you are, is I can't remember where it was exactly that you said it or how you said it, but it was along the lines of like, can you afford to do blah, 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 and not do this? And I go, don't be AK. Don't be the... It was more, that was it. It was the Hornets with Nick Smith. Oh, well, we drafted this guy. I have this lottery ticket. It hasn't paid out. Don't be AK. Don't be, nope, I drafted this guy. We have to stick with him. Sometimes things change. And if something's going to be better, take the other, like, don't be afraid to jump off of something if you question it. Like, really, it's going to be the GM or the whoever's making the basketball decision in the war room. Trust in this right here. I got a big one, but they got to trust their gut.
But you know what Nick Smith is as an NBA player. You don't know what Reed Sheppard is as an NBA player.
Could be a boat.
And that's the difference. Could be a boat.
Could be a boat. You know how much we wanted one of those. Could be a boat.
And that's my point, man. I think you're right. It's got to be the right team and the right place to take him. Genuinely, dream matchup. I think the chances of, let me double check Tankathon real quick. Love you, Tankathon. Hit that sim lottery button a bunch of times. A team like Toronto, if they keep their pick, would be great. I think but again, I don't think that he's a top 3. I think 5 might be the earliest you go, maybe 4.
Well, the only way Toronto's keeping their pick is if they win the 1, 2, or 3, right? Unless they like fall into it, obviously, because if they're at 8, that's a Spur pick.
Right. I think the question is, I'm still not sure because I'm just like the draft profile is just a bunch of wings, and they went out and they got like IQ, Grimes, guys like that, or not Grimes, but they got IQ, they got RJ Barrett, like they in that mold.
Yeah.
So I'm already thinking about who. Oh, they had Ochai Abashi. That's who it was most recently. So I just don't know. Houston's the one, though. Houston's the team I kind of want him to go to because Fred VanVleet's already on the team. So I'm like, you are the successor. Because he opens things up for them because you could play Reed Sheppard. If, guess what? You have Reed Sheppard, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith, and Şengün. That lineup, and you can't tell me it doesn't. Like, that is the ultimate, like, oh, so you're going to try to get around, attack Reed Sheppard? That's our weakest guy on defense.
Yeah.
Guess what? We can throw Amen Thompson to double down, or Cam Whitmore to double down, or Jabari to help. Like, you got 3 guys who are insanely athletic, who are incredible upside potential defenders, and like 2 of them delivering already at that level. Like, I'm sure Cam can, given more time, and like when he's locked in, he is that guy, but he just needs to stay locked in sometimes. So I think that my dream fit for Reed Sheppard is still probably Houston. San Antonio's tempting, but I feel like San Antonio is just going to do San Antonio things. And like, we'll go Topic. Why overthink?
Well, that's if Topic is even there.
Yeah. We'll go Topic. We'll go Ricochet. I think that those are the 2 priorities.
Is there a chance that one of those 2 fall out of the top 3?
Oh, yeah. If Topic comes back and looks like ass, I don't know that he will, or if he doesn't come back at all, maybe that's, a protect himself move, kind of like Ron Holland did, but Ron Holland wasn't playing for anything. Well, Topic is technically, So be a little bit different. But yeah, I think he's the one who could fall out. Reese Shea is pretty cemented. He's one for a lot of people, two if not, and three for anybody else. I haven't seen him outside of the top three for anyone. So I would say that's a pretty safe bet. So yeah, I guess Topic could fall out, but Reed Sheppard's got an uphill climb. If you don't find that perfect fit for like the other teams, I mean, who else do you think long shots if they fall into that position? The Pelicans?
Dude, I don't even know.
Pelicans already have Dyson Daniels, who is just barely cracking, roster time sometimes. He's bigger. He is got a couple years of experience under him, but not nearly the same shooter as Reed Sheppard is. Reed is a dead eye. So maybe New Orleans would be a nice fit for him there.
The one thing I have to look up with New Orleans. Give me 1 second.
Chicago wouldn't, just because, AK know the answer to that one. Oof, it's tough, man. It's tough.
So the thing with that because you're talking about that Laker pick with the Pelicans, right?
Yeah, it's protected, isn't it?
So no, it's interesting. So they have first off, it's either their own or Milwaukee. So they have a swap with Milwaukee for their own. They can either keep their own or swap with Milwaukee, whichever is higher. Then with the Laker one, they can take this year's Laker pick or defer it and instead take next year's first.
I could see them doing that just to mess with the Lakers, just out of spite.
So basically, if they win the lottery, they're keeping the pick, obviously. But like they could, if the Lakers like make the playoffs, they could say, "Nah, we'll take next year's pick."
Yep. All right. Well, then in that case, yeah, it really is down to like 3-4 teams tops who would take him that high. OKC is the weird one because OKC
just because of what players they already have.
Yeah, they could decide that, hey, Giddey's not working out. We can sell on Giddey. Team's still very valuable to teams in the league. But we can trade him out, plug and play Reed Sheppard, who's a lot of people early comped him to Cason Wallace. Not a terrible comp at the end of the day. Casey's got a couple things he does a little bit better.
Back-to-back Kentucky Wildcat point guards going to the Thunder.
I mean, Reed's a combo. So I think so, yeah. I absolutely buy that, but my thought is OKC's going to trade up the kit and caboodle and go get Cody Williams is my guess. Just shocker there. They might want to put Jalen and Cody together on the same team. Sure, that won't get annoying as the draft goes on for the entire year.
Jalen and Cody on the same team, the Will brothers.
Williams.
Dave, I will say, let's switch gears a little bit as we've. I'll be honest, this Reed Sheppard conversation went longer than I thought it would, which isn't bad. You wanted to mention, though, breaking out just a little bit to the Kentucky Wildcats as a whole. I'll let you take this one because you're the one that's the brainchild of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kentucky is this weird monster of a recruiting machine. Like, it prospects like every day of the week. It just seemingly unending lineup of uber talented players. And this year, if you're looking at the draft class, we just talked about Reed Sheppard. Right behind Reed Sheppard is Rob Dillingham. As far as some people have Dillingham above him. To their credit, not going to argue. I could see both. I could see it go either way. Sure. But then you end up in this like situation where you still have a bunch of talent at Kentucky. And you're like, how soon are these guys going to go? Because Antonio Reeves, great scorer in college, could be a pretty good scorer in the NBA. I think he would be probably like a 10th man on a bench, but definitely worth a roster slot. So he should probably go and, be picked. So that's 3 players. Then you look down and you go, well, Zvonimir starting to get a little more run now. Like what I see in the limited minutes, probably would take Zvonimir in the first. Maybe early second, worst case scenario. So we're up to 4. Okay, cool. You got who was the highest draft pick on this team or highest ranked prospect on this team was Justin Edwards coming into the year. Justin Edwards has had a disappointing, underwhelming season up to this point as of a week ago. He just kind of reminded people of like when everything goes right for him, how well he can look against Alabama. And he hit everything except one free throw against Alabama. He had his game of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And he kind of make people question, like, how much do you trust production in college, or how heavily do you weigh production in college versus like this guy was a guy before Kentucky. Kentucky's a very loaded team. He's playing next to some loaded wings. They like to go 3-guard lineups. They like to space out the floor a ton. So his role has been kind of not the same guy he used to be in high school. Trey Mitchell, upperclassman, has been playing great next to him. So he's eaten a lot of the minutes, taking a lot of opportunities as the upperclassman, because Kentucky should try to keep winning games. And I know it's a delicate balance down there as far as winning games and prospects getting their opportunities. So I don't know. What do you think about the situation with Justin Edwards? And there's one more guy we'll get to in DJ who I got some feelings on, but like Justin's the enigma, because I get, and I want to say it right away, I get some Kevin Knox-ish vibes. I get everything on paper says this guy has potential in front of him, and there's no giant glaring red flag screaming at me other than the fact that we just don't have the production. He doesn't do anything terribly, but he also doesn't take over games. He also just seemingly might be a role player, but we've seen role players in college turn into stars, or at least starters in the NBA.
The question is, we don't know. Or the answer is we don't know. However, we don't know because I feel like he's fallen into the same trap we talk about college all the time, where because you had mentioned before we started recording, like, oh, they gave him the reins and he didn't do anything with them, and then he got him yanked. I think it was the last game he had the reins was probably the North Carolina Wilmington game on December 2nd, because he went from 32, 29, 21, 28 minutes to like 14, 13. Ooh, he got 24, then 21, then back to 16. So like
they play with that rotation because they are a deep team.
Well, they're a deep team, and I understand there's guys behind you. You either earn your spot or don't. I understand that. I like that. However, it's like it's what we've talked about in college, where when you got a guy like Calipari, and Calipari maybe is a little more in tune with this than like a Coach K was, or like a Laura Nega at Miami, or a Boeheim at Syracuse, or a Roy Williams at UNC, where it's like, our main goal is to win games. If you're not going to help us win games, I'm going to yank you. It's not like what we see in the G League, where it's like, yo, dude, this is about you getting better. You got the reins, man. I'm going to give you all the confidence in the world. And I wonder if that is it. Having the reins, coming right out of high school, getting them pulled, and it's a double-edged sword. It's either you see it as how I think you would see it, of like, well, if you had that dog in you, you would take this and say, hey, I'm going to work 2 times harder now because I got to work my way back. Or, and we've seen this so many times, you kill that confidence, and once that confidence is killed, it ain't coming back. Like it almost takes like 3 times as much work to try to get the kid better, to overcome it, because you just killed the kid's confidence.
I mean, you see it in Aaron Bradshaw too. He was a top 10 prospect as well. And came out, had like a couple huge games where it was like, oh, he is him. Like he is a 7-footer who we all expected to have like this crazy shooting touch. And then you just watched it wilt away and you're like, oh no. And now he's averaging less than 10 minutes a game in his last 4 games. They're running through Anyenso more. They're running through Zavonimir more. Coach Cal is not going to sit there and wait for these kids to figure their shit out. It seems he understands why he is, top of the game. So at one point, sympathy, but same time, prospects, you need to show him, why you deserve the minutes, why you deserve the opportunities. And do you think that this is just a little bit of smoke, but there's no fire? Do you think that this is something like, hey, this is why we should keep believing in him. He was a top 5 player in the draft class, and we should draft him basically on the hopes that he's got the physicals, he's got all the the framework to be a great NBA wing.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to build up from that because college he was just a role player.
Mm-hmm. I almost look at it to where, and yet again, these guys are going to be a little bit different as like minutes per game. I'm making sure in the box score. I don't know. But I'm going to say it anyways, is I almost, it's not an exact 1-for-1 because the guy I'm going to say had more of issues with coaching rather than just, he also struggled. Nasir Little. Look at Nasir Little.
Nasty.
He struggled his only year in college.
Yeah.
He had a flame out with his coach. We talked about it on the fast break.
We covered it extensively.
Criticized him for it. I know I was one of the big criticizers of him. But then you look at his time in the NBA, and he hasn't been a star per se, but I wouldn't say he's had the worst career right now.
He's kind of fallen out of the NBA, to be honest. He's not really playing.
Let's be honest. He went to the Blazers, but like I'm talking about like I look back to his 21-22 year, and it was like that was the year where he had the most minutes that he's played a game, and he didn't look bad. And it's like I wonder if Justin Edwards just needs the right coach, the right team at the next level to say, hey, we're going to forget how college went. Coach Cal, he's in the rear view mirror. You're here. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to make you better. Like this is the goal, to make you better so you can compete for this. And maybe Edwards needs somebody, maybe a teammate, to light a fire under your ass.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I don't know what it is. It's everyone works differently, and I don't know what type of person Edwards is and what motivates him.
Yeah,
but
I think
that's what
a
it
big
needs
thing.
to be.
I agree on that because you get so much out of the player interviews. The front office gets time to actually talk to them, talk to their staff, talk to the trainers in college, talk to the guy's high school coach, and get a good outlook on a player. And that's kind of the stuff that, like,
did his teammates go to his birthday, Dave?
Yeah, like that. Like, unironically hilarious, best movie ever as far as drafting. Come on. But the point is, if you know a guy responds to criticism or you know a guy responds to like heavy-handedness, one thing, but if he's going to put in the work, like, great, that's what you need to know. At the end of the day, does he care enough? Is this his life to be the best player in the NBA? Or is his goal just to get to the NBA? And then anything beyond that's bonus. Or was his job just to get, money to take care of his family? And then anything after that's bonus. Because, like, there's a lot of guys. I was listening to somebody's podcast, and that was one of the things he said. He's like, I didn't know what to do once I got there. Like, that was my life goal. I've been working my whole life.
Yeah.
I got to the NBA, and I did not realize what it took to stay in the NBA, and like that I need to grow my game. And by the time I started to realize that, I was already on the way out, and like all this shit. So it's like, yeah, it is a crazy in-depth process that front offices have to go through to find out the stuff like that. Because if Justin Edwards is that guy who is busting his ass in practice 24/7, working out, getting his shots up, all these things that you want, and it's just like, hey man, you've fallen into a situation in college where it's just not, it's just not meant to be. Cool. I love your game. I love what you were able to do here, here, and here. We think that on this team, it's the right value for us to take you, and you can be our wing project. We've got, plans. We're going to work on you with this, and we're going to get you to be a stud. Like, sometimes that's all it takes is other people, like you said, having that confidence in you, lighting that fire for you. So, like, with that all said, we saw one game. I think on the season, he's probably had like 5 or 6 standout games.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is just like stringing together a couple moments, and then you see him disappear into the background again. How high are you going to take Justin Edwards? Looking at it as of this day, the leap year day,
second rounder. Second rounder.
Okay.
I'll take a second round flyer on him if he's there in the second round. I don't know if a team would take him late first. I'm talking like 25 down. But like if I'm 31, 32, I'd take a flyer on him. I'd take a flyer on him anywhere in the second round. I feel like you can't waste it. Like, because second round picks to me, it's like, okay, who do you think has the most potential? Like, for example, the Bulls.
Wow.
Io's sitting there. Oh, he's got the most potential. I'm going to take him.
I disagree on that. I think that
second rounders not having you taking potential flyers.
There's differences because are you taking a guy who is going to be his best for another team? Are you developing a player for another team? Basically, at that point, because that's what some teams are doing. Other teams are taking upperclassmen and getting guys who can contribute, like Io. Io didn't have the most potential left. Io was a ready-made product who could play NBA minutes for me tomorrow, and that he didn't stop getting better.
No, I'm
not saying he. No, he didn't. He was an upperclassman who was playing as the best player in college basketball.
But he had questions about him for sure. Can he shoot at the
second rounder?
Can he shoot at the next level? Can he do this? That's what I'm saying. Like,
right. Don't give about that, Ricky. My point is they took a guy who was a top tier product in college basketball. You're taking one of the best players in college basketball and saying, you can play minutes in the NBA for me tomorrow. That's what they took. They took somebody who can deliver production tomorrow, not in 4 years for another team.
But they took a guy who when the Bulls drafted him, we weren't drafting him for another team. We were drafting him for us.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But we still took a guy who had a lot of potential because he wasn't a finished product. Like he just wasn't a finished product.
Who's to say though? Look at the rest of the guys drafted after him. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You can't just say that
he had a ton. Like Io had, yes, Io
because you're not good at something doesn't mean you have potential to get better at it. Is my point. Just because you don't tick the box now doesn't mean you're going to get better at it in the future. That's not how potential works.
Yeah, but I'm saying that he was. You see the potential in someone, and he was going to be that player that gets better.
No, he's not. You don't know that he is. That's the whole point of potential. You're saying he's not good at something. You hope he's going to get better.
Yeah, and that's all it is. Yeah,
and I'm saying not everybody who's not good at something has potential to get better at that.
But with Io, you look at the player he was, you look at the improvements he made year on year on year in college, and you can have a track record of, that guy is probably, based on this, I don't know for sure, going to get better. It's going to work to improve these areas. You don't know if he's going to. Yeah, you don't know if he's going to, but on the track record, you can look at it and say, I have a faith that he is going to, rather than a guy like, for example, you look at Edwards, maybe you're sitting there going, you know what? I don't like it. He ain't going to get better. He can't respond to coaching. You don't have that dog, and you pass on him. Like, that's what the second round is. Who do I think is going to get better?
If you want to talk potential in the second round, Greg Brown III was taken. Remember how great of an athlete Greg Brown III was in college? Top tier athlete. Do you know unlimited potential because of his athleticism, his size? Guess what Greg Brown III is doing right now?
Yeah. What we're arguing is not
he was taken after him. I'm saying Io didn't have the most potential left in that class. I'm saying Io had potential to get better. Io had that track record of getting better in college, but we didn't know what he would be in the NBA other than the fact that he could deliver in the NBA tomorrow and he would be able to play for your team tomorrow. Brandon Boston Jr., a kid who was a massive star coming into college, underperformed. Guess what? He was taken after. Guess what he's doing now?
I mean, he's on the Clippers.
He playing.
Well, yeah, because the Clippers are stacked. That's the point. Let's be honest. Is Io only playing because he plays for the Bulls and everyone's injured? Not everyone, but that's
how he became a starting point guard for a while. Yes.
Yeah, but it's like what I'm saying is it's not the most potential. It's who do I feel had AK probably sat there and was like, Executive A might see this much potential. Executive C might be this much. AK could have said, I see this much. And that's what it is. What exec or what basketball operations guy is going to look at Edwards in the second round and go, he's got a ton of potential. That's the guy that's going to take him. That's all I'm saying. It's not like
I'm saying there's other guys who are upperclassmen who they might want to take, who have production behind them. I'm saying, are you going to pass
It also depends on what team it is.
Well, yeah, that's all. It's all context. Yeah, that's the would you rather have Tristan da Silva, who is an upperclassman wing, who is just insane production over there at Colorado, or Justin Edwards, who has got literally the opposite of production at Kentucky?
Depends on what team I am.
Second round pick.
Yeah, but am I a playoff team? Am I not a playoff? Am I a lottery team that's using a second round pick?
Which group are you saying? Are you saying if I'm a bottom feeder team, I'm taking Justin Edwards?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to get to.
If I'm a lottery team with a second round pick, yes. If I'm a playoff team, I think about it. Because I don't know how much he contributes he's not a guy that contributes day one. I'll say that.
Yeah.
He's just not.
Wild card.
Or unless you're a team that, like, for example, I'll throw out the Grizzlies just because we've mentioned them. If you're a team like the Grizzlies, it's like, because they got 2 second round picks. If they go, we'll draft you and put you in the G League. Like, they could do that too.
The amount of guys in the G League who were first round picks this year is insane. And that shows you how loaded the NBA is on talent. Yeah. And these guys are now getting opportunities to play up, which is great. Utah, both of their picks, Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks was a top 10 pick. Spent the first 40 games in the G League, 50 games in the majority of minutes coming G League. He'd get like spot minutes here and there.
Yeah.
But guess what? The NBA is no longer you have to play minutes day one. That's the interesting thing is the G League has now become like an actual thing now, where players, even first round picks, even lottery picks, go to. So cool. That's where I'm like, do you think that a team will gamble on the fact that this kid has starter potential because he already has like the skill set? Worst case scenario, what if he could be like end of career PJ Tucker for you? Like, not like the one who quit on his team and had to be sent home, but like 3 years ago PJ Tucker, where he was still just a great corner 3 and D player. Isn't that valuable? Like, I think a team might take a shot in the first on that and be like, hey, you're 6'8", you can shoot corner 3s and you play good defense if you're engaged. Like, make sure the work ethic and all the other things line up. But again, you connect the dots and you're like, you start to tell yourself that maybe, just maybe.
2 questions I was going to ask you is, one, and I know your answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Sure. Would Justin Edwards benefit from staying in college?
Probably not. Probably not. I think that if you're going to get a top 10 pick coming into the class, your best chance is to ride that high. We've seen too many guys who stay back and they're forgotten about. You can't reclaim that, top prospect classification really. Year over year, we just don't see it. I'm trying to think of one that's happened.
Well, I can think of one where
Clinton.
It happened exactly like you said it just did. Was Io. If he would have came out a year before, he's a bona fide first. Came out the year he did, he fell to the second.
But was he a top RCI like 50 guy?
He would have went low first, but everyone was like he was a first rounder, and then he came back because he wanted to try to win that title.
His teammate was Coleman Hawkins. Yeah. I'm sorry, his future Illinois alum will be Coleman Hawkins, who for 3 years has been in the draft cycle now, and every year he's been about the same as he could be like a late one, mid 2. I guess why he goes back to college. Yeah. He could be a late 1, mid 2, and then guess what? He went back to college again, and now about a month ago he was pick 75 for me at best, and then he started stringing together games with Terrence Shannon Jr. and Illinois starts looking like a banger all of a sudden. And that guy is now back into the second round firmly again because he's got size and he's starting to use that shot consistently and he's starting to move the ball a little. We're starting to see the defense clicking. You just see all these things again. And you're like, oh yeah, there's a reason we liked you a couple of years ago.
TSJ, another one. I remember, I think it might have been the 21 or 22 draft. I remember, Retro doesn't remember, but I do. Retro loved TSJ. Loved him. Texas Tech darling. Decides to stay at Texas Tech a year, then decides to go to Illinois. Like, he could have came out and been a first-round pick.
Right. He could have been a first-round pick, but we don't know if Justin Edwards will be a first-round pick. But what we do know is he was a top 5 ranked player in the class. And that's what I'm saying. I think that classification yields you some extra oomph when it comes to the draft value that first year. But Ben Mathurin, notoriously, was going to be a lottery pick. Pick 14, pick 15. He was right on that after his freshman year, and he decided to come back and went higher, obviously, to the Pacers, and things worked out pretty well for him. So he did help his stock out. So there I guess there are a couple cases, but not many. Well, I think a lot of the guys who are top players who don't perform in that first year, if you still have the chance to go top 60 or work your way onto a team with a undrafted contract, you should take the opportunity. Absolutely.
My other question, last one on Edwards before we go into the very short ending topic, is if he goes, how late in the second round, or do you not at all do this? Does it get to a point in the second round where you go, don't draft me, I'm going to bet on myself? Like we see guys do, where it's like, don't draft me, I'm going to work out with teams and I'm going to bet on myself.
I kind of love that route. I hate it and I love it at the same time. I hate it if I'm a team. I love it if I'm a player, because I like players having that agency, and that shows a little something from them. If I'm him, I think I'm gonna still probably go in the first. I think I got to tell myself that.
Well, I'm saying, let's say
games away.
Let's say he falls into the second.
Sure.
Does he hope to get drafted or bet on myself?
I think if you pass by like pick 36 or something, then you might start thinking about it. Yeah, you might start telling your agent to let teams know not to. But at the same time, there's other guys who are just as much projects as you are out there, just as highly touted, like a Kwame Evans, who different skill set, different athletic beast out there, but same general range right now because, again, production in college not consistently there, and he's a guy who came on later too. So I don't know, man. There's so many of these mystery bags out there.
Well, the last thing, Dave, we're going to take a look at. We're talking about the WNBA, Dave. More so, college basketball on the women's side, because there is a big name, Dave, that has said bye-bye to college. Not yet. She's still going to play in the tournament. She's still got money to make. But Caitlin Clark has said she is leaving Iowa to head for the WNBA. Dave, my question to you, right move by Caitlin Clark or the wrong move?
I think it's the wrong move for Caitlin Clark, but it's the right move for the WNBA to get better as a brand. Adam Silver loves this move.
Yeah.
I think year one, she would probably still earn more in college. I think that she is the queen of college basketball right now. Obviously, a tournament win would be a nice way to go out, though. We don't know yet, so got to wait and see there. But she shattered records. She's doing everything. Like, there's just, I guess it feels like there's, kind of that moment of like, what else is there for me to do if I can go out on the highest of high notes?
Yeah.
But the NIL money has just changed the game, because I mean, like, she probably makes more money in next year in college than she would as a WNBA pro. The money's honestly going to come from the advertisements, which I don't think are dependent on the WNBA contract in the first place. And I think you said it, Indiana has the first overall pick already, so it's not exactly the marketing mecca. I love Indiana. I love Indiana as far as a basketball town, though. I think she'll love it there. I think they'll love, I think it'll work out really nicely, but it's not like she's going to like LA or whatever. So it's WNBA situation where it's just like the whole league gets better because she's in it. It kind of raises everybody else up as far as money's concerned going forward, hopefully, because she's going to bring more eyes to it, just like she brought more eyes to college basketball for women.
I'm on the fence about this, dude. Like, there's a part of me that says yes because the NIL money. Plus, I'm going to say, and I said this to you, I look at the Indiana Fever and I go, no, thank you. I don't want to go there. I mean, let's be honest. And WNBA fans, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming they have similar trade rules that like the NBA has, but like LA, if they're taking, they have 3 firsts. Hey, we'll give you all 3 first round picks for your number 1 pick. Like, do the Sparks try to make that home run grab for Caitlin Clark? Because if I'm Caitlin Clark, I would look at it and go, okay, LA's 2. Well, not really 2. I believe they have a pick that is somebody else's. I think their pick's a little later, but they're 2. You got Chicago at 3. Are you hoping for one of those 2 teams to be bad? However, I think both of those, by the way, are traded. So it's like, are they going to be that bad? I don't know. I just look at it and go, is Indiana the place I want to play and spend my career? It's not
we
one
love
of the
Midwest.
Does she love the Midwest? Does she want to be like? Does she want to be like Sabrina? Sabrina spent her college days in Eugene, Oregon. Wrong Oregon for a while. The Oregon Duck fans are going to hate me because I originally said Oregon State's town, but Eugene, Oregon. And now she's in New York, playing for the Liberty. I mean, nowadays people probably don't want to live in New York, but It's big city, Eugene.
Great.
What?
Who doesn't want to live in New York? What do you got against New York all of a sudden?
I mean, have you looked at New York right now? It doesn't look like that great of a place to live.
I'm not gonna start that right now.
I'm just saying, it's a great place to live.
It's the best place to live. Get off the fucking Trump soapbox here.
You know what? Maybe Caitlin Clark's right. Maybe Indiana is the right place to go. It's the right place to live. Maybe that's the right choice. I don't know. I look at it and it's like, do you want to? You're the biggest star. Of course, the WNBA, Adam Silver, should want her in LA, should want her in Chicago, should want her in New York, even though New York wouldn't be there. Would love her in a Las Vegas, but Las Vegas, they're good teams, Dave. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to be high enough to take her.
Good cities.
Like Vegas is good. Vegas is a good team. The Liberty are a good team. The Sky and the Sparks, not as good as they used to be when they were winning championships. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I was hurt, it's also the Paige Becker situation. Takes one injury, Dave, to end it all.
True.
Look at Becker. She's coming back again because she got that one injury, and now, yeah.
I'm not gonna pretend I know Caitlin Clark at all. My answer is she's good for the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's going to the WNBA, she's bringing more attention, more views, more money. And we're getting to the ultimate goal of, guess what? Sponsors will pay more money to get those advertisement deals, which means WNBA players make more money. Which means
what do I smell, Dave?
Money?
Do I smell a future topic of will Caitlin Clark be the next GOAT or be the GOAT of the WNBA? Will she be the Sue Bird? Will she be the Diana Taurasi? Taurasi? Yeah. Sue Bird better, right? Sue Bird's seen more as the GOAT in women's basketball than Diana, right?
I don't know. I don't follow the game that closely, clearly.
I just remember Sue Bird being the one, but this is where you guys let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section about anything we talk about today. Discord down below, Patreon down below. You can support us, join the greatest community in the universe. Comment sections where you can tell us what you think. Like button, subscribe button. Check out the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to audio forms. You can catch us there. Thank you for everyone who listened today. Thank you to my backcourt partner, Dave. Another great episode, another great time talking about the draft. Got a little heated, but people like when it gets a little heated sometimes. You're wrong, but that's besides the point. It's okay. Dave, we have to remember, it's okay to be wrong. We don't always have to be right. Some topics, nobody's right or wrong. There's not always a right or wrong.
That's what it is. I don't think either of us were directly arguing with each other. We're both just stating the same thing we each believe.
Semantic.
Probably overlapped.
Yeah, semantic. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below. We'll catch you at NFL next week, NBA 2 weeks. As always, have a good day, everybody. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.